Lieutenant Maya Reeves stood at the edge of the training yard at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, watching the new SEAL candidates struggle through their morning PT session. The California sun had barely risen, but sweat already darkened their uniforms as they pushed through another set of burpees. At 5'7" with an athletic build that belied her exceptional strength, Maya didn't look like what most people expected of a Navy SEAL. That had always been her advantage. 3 years of classified operations in regions the American public would never hear about had taught her to use others' underestimation as a weapon. Her last tour alongside Lieutenant Murphy's grandson had earned her a silver star that remained locked in a classified file. The scar that ran along her forearm, a souvenir from a night extraction gone wrong, was the only visible evidence of her combat experience. Lieutenant Reeves called Commander Jackson, approaching with his clipboard. "These 3 are your special assignment." He nodded toward 3 recruits who stood slightly apart from the others. They were all over 6 feet tall, built like linebackers, and carried themselves with the unmistakable confidence of men who'd never been truly tested. Rodriguez, Whitman, and Chen, Jackson continued, top of their class in everything technical, but their teamwork evaluations are concerning. Colonel Tennistal thinks they need specialized attention. Maya nodded, studying the 3 men. Rodriguez had family connections to 3 generals. Whitman was a 3rd-generation SEAL candidate whose father had served with distinction. Chen was a former Olympic athlete with perfect scores on every physical test. Arthur had been handed every advantage. Yet something in their demeanor set off warning bells in Mia's mind. "I'll take them through close-quarters combat training this afternoon," she said. Commander Jackson hesitated. "There's something else. We've received intelligence about a potential security breach. Someone's been accessing classified training protocols. Keep your eyes open." After he walked away, Maya felt the weight of her sidearm against her hip. Standard procedure required officers to carry during training since the terrorist attempt at Pensacola 3 years ago. She hoped she wouldn't need it. Throughout the day, Maya noticed the 3 recruits watching her, not with the respect due superior officer but with thinly veiled contempt. During the afternoon CQC training, she demonstrated takedown techniques that had saved her life in places she couldn't name. "With respect, ma'am," Whitman said after she demonstrated a particularly effective disarming technique that might work in a controlled environment, but in real combat, you have combat experience, recruit Whitman. The training room fell silent. "No, ma'am, but my father." "Then I suggest you focus on learning rather than teaching." As the session ended, Maya overheard Enriquez mutter to the others, "This is no way she's qualified to train us." Maya pretended not to hear, but made a mental note to speak with Commander Jackson about their attitudes. She stayed late, reviewing security footage from the past week, looking for any sign of the breach he'd mentioned. The training facility was nearly empty when she finally headed toward the exit. As she rounded the corner near the armory, she saw them. Rodriguez, Whitman, and Chen blocking her path. Their postures had changed, no longer maintaining the facade of military discipline. "Lieutenant," Rodriguez said, his voice carrying an edge that didn't belong in an address to a superior officer. "We like a word about today's training." Maya felt a familiar calm of combat rightness settled over her as they moved to surround her. Whatever was coming, she was prepared. Maya assessed the situation with the cold precision that had kept her alive behind enemy lines. Rodriguez positioned himself directly in front of her while Whitman and Chen moved to flank her sides, cutting off easy escape routes. The hallway's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across her faces, revealing expressions that had abandoned all military decorum. "Trianon seems a bit unfair," Mia said calmly, shifting her weight imperceptibly to the balls of her feet. Rodriguez smirked. "Just like your training exercises, right? Always stacked against us." "This isn't about training," Mia replied, recognizing the dangerous undercurrent. These weren't just disgruntled recruits. This was something else entirely. "We know what you're doing," Chen said, his voice low, checking the security logs, asking questions about access codes. Ma's mind raced. The security breach Commander Jackson mentioned these 3 were involved, but how deeply? "Step aside, recruits. That's an order." Her voice carried the steel that had commanded men twice her age in firefights across 3 continents. "We don't take orders from you anymore," Whitman said, reaching behind his back. The movement was subtle, but Maya recognized the telltale motion of someone retrieving a concealed weapon. Time slowed as her combat instincts took over. In one fluid motion, she struck Rodriguez's solar plexus with an open palm, momentarily paralyzing his diaphragm. As he doubled over, she pivoted toward Whitman, who had produced a combat knife. Military issue, likely stolen from the armory. You have no idea who you're dealing with, Mia said, her voice deadly quiet. Some diversity hired got lucky, Chen spat, lunging forward. Mia sidestepped, using his momentum to slam him into the wall. The impact echoed through the empty hallway. Whitman slashed with a knife, but Maya had survived worse attacks from better fighters. She caught his wrist mid-strike, applying pressure to the radial nerve that sent shock waves of pain up his arm. The knife clattered to the floor as Whitman howled. Rodriguez, recovering his breath, reached for his waistband and pulled out what Maya instantly recognized as a 9mm Beretta, standard officer issue. Her blood ran cold. This wasn't just insubordination. This was a coordinated attack. We can't let you report us, Rodriguez said, raising the pistol. Too much at stake. Miles flashed to the intelligence briefing she had received before returning stateside. Rumors of classified information being sold to private military contractors. These three weren't just entitled recruits, they were plants. Remember who I am, Maya said, her voice carrying a warning that made Rodriguez hesitate for a crucial half-second. That hesitation was all she needed. Maya executed a move taught to her by Colonel Eileen Collins herself, a lightning-fast disarming technique developed for close-quarters combat against armed opponents. Her hand struck Rodriguez's wrist with precision, sending paint signals that forced his fingers to reflexively open. As the gun fell, Maya caught it midair, simultaneously sweeping Rodriguez's legs from under him. He crashed to the floor as she spun to face Chen, who had recovered and was charging toward her. Two quick strikes to pressure points left Chen gasping on his knees. Whitman, desperate now, attempted to retrieve the fallen knife, but Maya was faster. She kicked it away and delivered a precise strike to his temple that sent him sprawling. 28 seconds had passed since the first move. Rodriguez, still on the floor, looked up at Maya with dawning horror as she stood over them, his own weapon now trained steadily on him. "Who are you working for?" she demanded, hearing footsteps approaching rapidly from around the corner. "You're dead," Rodriguez hissed. "Even if you take us down, they'll send others. You have no idea how deep this goes." The sound of multiple footsteps echoed down the corridor as Maya maintained her position, weapon trained on Rodriguez. She didn't flinch when Colonel Merrill Tennistal rabbed the corner with two armed MPs, their expression shifting from alert readiness to surprise at the scene before them. "Stand down, Lieutenant," Colonel Tengistal ordered calmly, though her eyes registered approval as she surveyed the three recruits sprawled on the floor. Maya immediately secured the weapon and stepped back, her posture returning to military precision. "Colonel, these men attempted to assault an officer." Rodriguez was armed with what appears to be a stolen service weapon. Tangle nodded to the MPs who moved forward to secure the three men. "We've been monitoring them since they accessed restricted files last week. We just didn't know how deep it went or who they were working with." As the MPs hauled the recruits to their feet, Rodriguez glared at Maya. "You have no idea what's coming. This goes higher than you can imagine." "Actually," came a new voice from behind Colonel Tengistal. Admiral James Harrison stepped into view, his weathered face grim. The recruits visibly palled at the sight of the head of Naval Special Warfare Command. "Lieutenant Reeves wasn't just assigned here to train recruits. She was placed here specifically to draw you out. We suspected a breach, but needed to identify all involved parties." Maya maintained her composure, though this was news to her. She'd been told to watch for suspicious activity, but not that she was being used as bait. "Sir," she questioned. "Need to know basis, Lieutenant. Your reputation from the Ankara extraction made you the perfect candidate. We knew if they were going to target anyone, it would be the decorated female SEAL who suddenly started asking questions about security protocols." Chen's face contorted with realization. "The Inara, that was you, the ghost." For the first time, genuine fear replaced the arrogance in his eyes. The Inara extraction had become legendary in military circles. A solo operative who had rescued three captured intelligence officers from a heavily guarded compound with nothing but a combat knife and pure tactical brilliance. "Take them to interrogation," Admiral Harrison ordered. "And pull their communications records for the past 6 months. I want to know every contact." As the MPs led the three away, Colonel Tyndall turned to Maya. "You handled that perfectly, Lieutenant, though I suspect you could have taken them down faster if you had wanted to. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Didn't want to damage them too badly before questioning. Ma'am, after the corridor cleared, Admiral Harrison's expression turned serious. This goes beyond these three, Lieutenant. We believe they're connected to a network selling classified tactical information to private military contractors and possibly foreign interests. Your actions tonight have given us the opening we needed. What happens now, sir? Now, he said, we need you for something bigger. These three were just pawns. We need to find the king. 2 weeks later, Maya stood on the deck of an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. The intelligence gathered from the three recruits exposed a network that reached into surprising places. Her new assignment would take her deep into territory where her unique skills would be tested like never before. Colonel Tennistal joined her at the railing. Ready for this? Maya thought about the path that had led her here. From being underestimated at every turn to becoming the weapon that no one saw coming until it was too late. They never see us coming. That's always been our advantage. Colonel Tennistal nodded in understanding. That's why you'll succeed where others can't. Because when they finally remember who you are, it's already too late. Maya finished turning away from the sunset towards the mission that awaited.